comes the money.
Here we go. Money talk.
Here comes the money. Money, 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 money.
Dollar, dollar. Dollar, dollar. Ching, ching, bling, bling. Cut the chatter.
Jurassic World, the fallen kingdom has a bunch of dinosaurs. Even though she is a clone, forget about that, we got a dinosaur. What I find so ironic about these Jurassic Park movies that are still going on is that every single new entry somehow surprises me in how stupid it is. The original one was stupid at times, but at least it was coherent. The movies get continuously more stupid and more dumb. Look, I'll admit, I actually quite enjoyed the original Jurassic World movie. Sure, it wasn't perfect, but I thought Chris Pratt was good. For the most part, it was an enjoyable movie. And it didn't take itself too seriously, unlike every single thing The Fallen Kingdom does. I mean, who even thought the script of The Fallen Kingdom was done? It's not even a complete script. Wow, I thought the script is like, it's not like this script had a bunch of plot holes in it. No, the script is not even done. It's like poor Colin Trevorrow was like halfway done and they were like, hey, we want this movie to come out in summer 2018. And he was all like, wait, no, I'm not done yet. And they're like, too bad. We want this movie out. And yeah, that's probably how this movie went down. And it's not all bad, I guess. I guess there are redeemable qualities that are given out of this thing of a movie. But they're very few and far between. Look, I'll admit, I very much liked this movie when I first saw it. Back in June when I saw it, I thought it was a pretty cool movie. I was pretty entertained while watching it. However, over the last few months, the more I've thought about it, the more I think, the more the movie just totally falls apart into a million pieces of disappointment and terror. I know why people like this movie, and it's fine if you do. I personally really don't like it. I think it's a stupid movie with no idea what it's doing that takes itself far too seriously. Even Rampage knew how dumb it was. So yeah, let's tear this movie to shreds, 'cause I can't wait. It's not like the entire internet's already done that already. Whatever. This is Fallen Kingdom. It's a stupid movie with stupid stuff in it. It's stupid! So for those of you who are new here, all of you are, technically, what I like to do on this series is I like to talk about 4 categories. The characters, the story, the visuals, and the enjoyability. And, I haven't done this series for like 9 months now, but I'm bringing it back because I thought it'd be fun to just do it every once in a while. These are very hard to edit videos, which is why I stopped making them. But I'm going to continue doing them because they're fun to make. So yeah, let's get right into the characters. The characters. Alright, mainly the characters in this movie. We have a main cast, the same as the last Jurassic World. We have Chris Pratt as Owen Larson. I don't know his last name, but who cares what his last name is. There's, Bryce Dallas Howard is, Claire. No one cares about her last name either. And there's a bunch of random other characters. There's this little clone girl who no one cares about either. There's this bad guy who's really generic. There's this guy who's a wannabe John Hammond. But Jeff Goldblum's in here too, and he shows up for like 4 minutes or something, maybe 3 minutes. I don't know, he's barely in the movie. I was actually barely disappointed by Jeff Goldblum's performance in this movie. Like, most people were sad, they're like, oh, I wanted him to do more. But for me, I was like, man, I didn't really get too hyped about him being in the next movie, because I knew that they weren't gonna really make us surprised by this movie, and I wasn't surprised. The only thing that surprised me was the stupidity. But Jeff Goldblum's performance in the movie, when he's on screen, he's enjoyable to watch. And I wasn't really disappointed by him not being in the movie that much. Like, what was he gonna do? Like, what could he do? It wouldn't have worked at all for him to be in the movie, and it would be dumb. And plus, the characters in the first Jurassic Park aren't even that interesting. What? No, I still like it. Look, I've said before, I think the original Jurassic Park is a freaking masterpiece. I love it. But the original Jurassic Park movie, take a look. none of the characters are that interesting. The only reason you remember them is because you were a kid then. Most of the characters in the movie they're pretty generic, honestly. Like, they're not terrible, but they're pretty generic, and that's including Jeff Goldblum's character. The only thing that really makes him is that Jeff Goldblum is such a good actor, so he doesn't really disappoint me in this movie. Next, there's Owen, played by Chris Pratt. I always love Chris Pratt. I think he's a great actor. I think every single time he's on screen, he's very entertaining to watch. I thought he was great in the Lego Movie, great in Guardians of the Galaxy, and he was really good in the original Jurassic World. And I really liked him in Infinity War. That wasn't his best role, but I really liked him there. Now we're here, and he... no, he's not that good. Pretty much like the last movie, he's not given that much. I mean, the last one, he got to show his charisma, but here, we have such a serious script. It's not even that serious, but it's taken so seriously, because why did you get J.A. Bayona, if I'm pronouncing the name right? I bet I murdered that name. Why are you getting him to direct this movie? It's not his type of movie. I think that's only a marketing technique. But he's a pretty generic character when you think about it. Like, he really doesn't have anything to do in this movie, and he doesn't have the charisma. And he's also a huge jerk, because he's gonna let his own raptor die. That's a really jerk move, Owen. Why'd you do that? Honestly, he's a generic character, and I really was disappointed by him. I really wanted more from him. Next is Brie Larson's character. No, not Brie Larson. No, that's Captain Marvel. Why did I get those two mixed up? They're so different. I mean, Bryce Dallas Howard's character, who's Claire. And she's a different character this time. Yeah, she's different. And the same thing happens with Owen. The same thing happens with Chris Pratt's character, Owen. Like, the same thing happens with the same character. They're both given really dark dialogue and, like, just really not very entertaining performances. In the last movie, she's generic AF. I'm sorry, I really didn't like her character in the last movie. But then in here, she's even more generic, because literally no development is given to her character at all, and it's totally stupid, and I really did not enjoy her character. Plus, their whole relationship in the last movie didn't work out. Then in this movie, it all of a sudden happens again, and now we're supposed to believe it's gonna work. It's not gonna work out. I swear to God, the next one's gonna begin with it failing. I swear to God, how do these movies get so predictable? Yep, I personally think her character's pretty bad. We got some more bad characters up in here. There are a lot of bad characters. There's a lot of them. Most of the characters suck in this movie. We got the two villains. One of them's this little dwarf who I really didn't care about. He's not supposed to have any development, but I don't really care. But then there's the main villain, who I'm totally forgetting the actor's name or the actual character's name. But we're just going to call him Generic Villain. And he's in it, and he exists, and he's dumb, and he's generic AF. Pretty much all that can be said about his character is, oh, he is bad and mean guy, and he does bad and mean stuff, and he's mean and bad, and he's mean. Now, there are more characters in this movie, but honestly, if you actually care about these characters, or you care what I have to say about them, sorry, but
You're a legitimate idiot.
But I will spend some time talking about one more character. It's this little girl, who's basically every girl from every Jurassic Park movie ever. Look, she honestly is probably the most interesting character that's been added to the story. Her grandpa's not interesting. The villains, by God, are not interesting. I actually showed my brother a clip from this video because I was editing it, and he didn't even remember the villain. Like, he didn't even remember he was in the movie. That's how generic he is. But the little girl, on the other hand, is not as generic. She's still not interesting, but I liked her a lot more than any other character. Plus, her actor didn't do that bad, so I don't really have that much to say about her, other than some scenes with her. Look, even the first time I saw this movie, when I thought it was a pretty good movie, the line when her dad or whoever literally says that she's a clone, like, I've always thought that line was the dumbest thing in, like, cinema. What? She's a clone? What? What? What's the problem with her just being a kid? Why does she have to be a clone? Literally, for a movie as stupid as this, that's just downright weird and dumb and morbid. Why is that even in the movie? She also has other dialogue scenes like this.
Had to. They're alive. Like me.
What? They're alive like me? Is that really the best line the scriptwriters could have came up with? In the end, I think every character in this movie is not very interesting to watch when they're on screen. They have their moments. There's some times where they're charming to watch. Chris Pratt has a couple moments where I liked him. I mainly didn't really like his character, but there are moments when he was good. But for the most part, no character in this movie is actually interesting. And I honestly think that this movie doesn't really have any good characters. Like, none at all. So yeah, I think this movie's characters suck. The plot. Alright, for the story of this movie, the main plot is that the island, or at least the trailer does this, the island is about to explode because there's a volcano on it. So they have to get dinosaurs off the island and back to the mainland. This is the part when the spoiler warning comes in. I know it already said spoiler warning, but for those of you who haven't seen Fallen Kingdom, you've probably already spoiled the movie for yourself through this review, but this is definitely going to be spoiled. Like, this is definitely going to spoil stuff, even if there's anything to spoil. When I saw trailer 1 for this movie, I wasn't necessarily on board with what they were doing, but I wasn't I didn't really think the trailer was that good of a trailer. But I thought the movie could be good. I thought it had an interesting premise that I thought could really work if it was done right. So then we got the Super Bowl trailer, which premiered the Super Bowl, and I personally thought this movie was going to be straight out awful after that. That trailer gave me nothing I cared about at all. It just looked really generic and really bad, and I hated how they just randomly introduced this new plot point, which I had no idea was going to be in it. They were going to go to the mainland. I had no idea. So then next, the final trailer was actually a pretty cool trailer, but I still was skeptical. So yeah, I wasn't necessarily hyping this movie going in, and I was generally surprised when I went in. I've already stressed the fact that I really enjoyed this movie when I first saw it. But we're months later, and I personally think I even saw it on opening night. I still was excited, so I ended up watching it. I really don't like it anymore. So yeah, let's just go right through this script. So they discover that pretty much the island is about to explode. So yeah, that happens. They discover that this island is about to explode. Isla Nublar is about to explode, except for why would they ever build a park on an island that's about to explode? Why though? Why? Did they have no check of ooh yeah, this volcano's gonna erupt in 20 years, guys? Oh no, sorry. If they built... No, wait, yeah, for Jurassic Park. But in Jurassic Park, maybe they couldn't have detected that. But in Jurassic World, hey, guys, this island's gonna explode in 3 years. Maybe we shouldn't build a park on it that's gonna have thousands of people on it every day. Anyway, they have to go to the island. They pick Owen and Claire to do it because the plot needs it to. Even though, why did they pick Claire? Their explanation is that because she knows the island better than anybody, even though that's not true. How about we hire the architects of the island? Wouldn't they know this island better than anybody because they're the ones that built the island? Then they also get Owen to catch Blue, the Velociraptor. Except for another plot hole, why would they need Blue? Why would they need Owen? If they already can track the dinosaurs with Claire, then why would they need Blue? What is the point of that? Owen is totally useless in this situation, because if they already can track the dinosaurs, a car and enough tech could easily take down a Velociraptor. Maybe they needed Owen to lure him in, but there are ways you could lure him in. You could put a pig there. That Velociraptor will chase after that pig. You catch the Velociraptor. It'd be like that, except for no, we have to have Owen in the plot because he's important. So let me just say that the first third of this movie, I don't like the first part of it. Let's build up to it. I think it's pretty boring. Then it actually goes up, and then the actual stuff happens. And when it's on the island, it's really entertaining. The scene when they're running from the volcano ash is really entertaining. While it might be stupid, because he wouldn't be able to outrun a bunch of volcano ash, because that's insanely hot and goes insanely faster than he could ever run. I still think this beginning scene has a lot of entertaining scenes. I really like the scene when Owen is tranquilized and he is limp and he's paralyzed and he can't move and the lava is going up right next to him. I absolutely love that scene. I thought it was so well done. In fact, I'll talk about this later, but J.A. Bayona's directing in this movie is actually brilliant. This movie looks fantastic, which I'll go back into the visuals, which will be the next category. But honestly, this opening scene's pretty entertaining, and the dinosaurs are cool. While it might be stupid and completely illogical, I still think that this opening scene is pretty cool. But then we introduce, the plot twist. They actually hired these guards, these, like, hunters to get the raptors and all the dinosaurs and steal them, and they're way too evil to be believed. Really? Really? Like, we were supposed to think that's a twist. Like, we already saw The Lost World. We know that's gonna happen, and then it happens, and it's dumb. And then they go onto the boat, and this is by far the worst part of this entire movie. Everything between the scene when they got off the volcano and when Indoraptor stuff happens is just stupid boringness. Like, it's, this movie, no scene in this movie is smart. It's all dumb. But this part especially is dumb, but except for it doesn't have the enjoyability factor that the third act and the first act have. It's just the second act is this stupid, boring section of this movie that I really don't think works at all. It's just this blob of boringness and nothingness. And anyway, they go to the island, and then then there's this really rich guy, and he's like, hey, I'm gonna go sell you all these dinosaurs, and there's this clone here who barely does anything in the movie. Anyway, Owen and Claire get captured, even though they could just feed it to the Indoraptor. It's really dumb what happens. More plot holes, boy! They needed Blue to be cured. He got shot, so they needed Blue. Also, another thing I really like this movie, which I totally forgot to talk about in characters, but I'll talk about it now, because I guess it is part of the story. Blue and Owen's relationship. My brother thinks this relationship's kind of overrated, and I can see why, but I personally think it's really well set up and kind of charming. Velociraptors, these entire movies have been set up as these villains, and in the original Jurassic World, it's set up as this relationship could happen, but it doesn't really kick off. And then in this movie, it totally kicks off, and I really thought their relationship was good, and you can feel like a bond between the two, like they're brothers. I really liked their relationship. I actually thought it was really sweet and really nice. So if they need, okay, plot hole. If they needed Blue to make the Indoraptor, which is the thing in this movie, which I actually learned when I first saw it, if you watch my spoiler review, you'll notice I'll say something that's not incredibly intelligent. I say that this movie, that opening scene, I didn't see why it was in the movie. I do now. It's actually because the Indoraptor is part Indominus and part Raptor. But what's so dumb about that is more hybrids. Yeah, that wasn't a problem with the first Jurassic World, was it? But also, it's not even like, okay, the plot hole is that they needed raptor DNA to make an Indoraptor. So how did they get the raptor DNA, put it in an egg, and let that thing grow up in a matter of minutes, like hours it took for the Indoraptor to grow up? That really doesn't make sense. How does that happen? Just explain to me, how does that happen? I know, if I'm remembering this correctly, in the first Jurassic Park, they say something like, they increase their lifespan, like they grow up faster. No, that was Attack of the Clones. Wow, I just compared Jurassic Park to Attack of the Clones. I feel like a freaking moron. But that just doesn't make sense to me. I bet I'm missing something, because that's such a huge plot. Like, the other plot holes in this movie, they're there, but you have to really look at the movie to see them. Like, when you just watch a movie, you're not going to really notice them. But this one is so insanely noticeable, just so insanely bad. I bet there's an explanation. I bet I'm missing an explanation for it. And then we have the auction scene, and I personally think this scene is boring because it's part of the second act. And another thing that happens in this scene is that they let the Indoraptor be bought. Like, just because money. Yes, that won't kill people, totally. Another plot hole, I know this plot hole has been pointed out by everybody, but if you're already aiming a gun, so the Indoraptor, how it works is you have a gun, it has a laser pointer on it, you aim it at someone, and the Indoraptor runs and attacks that person. So I want you to explain to me, make it sound coherent. The Indoraptor, essentially, is, if you're already aiming a gun at the person, then what is the point of the Indoraptor attacking them? You already have a gun aiming at them, and you know it's gonna hit them because there's a laser pointing. So what is the point of the Indoraptor? Honestly, if this Indoraptor was just indicated, hey, attack these guys, then it would have worked so much better. But nope, it's really dumb, and that did not work. It only is brought up again for the most predictable plot point of all time. The auction scene in this movie is really boring, like most scenes in this movie, or most scenes in the second act especially. And then Owen comes in and he starts beating the crap out of people. Why? Because he was in the military. So he was a soldier in the military? No, he was part of the Navy. Wait, hold up. Explain this to me. if you're in the Navy, I don't know much about the military, but from what I know, the Navy doesn't learn how to be a hitman. Like, I'm just saying. They don't learn to be freaking Jason Bourne, or, like, they don't learn to be that. They learn... I actually don't know anything about the military, but maybe I have no idea what I'm saying, but they don't train them like that, so why is he John Wick in this scene? And I know I've been using the same clip for 10 minutes. The reason why I'm doing that is because I only have 2 trailers to work with. Both of them suck. So that's why the clip sucks. And I've used it already 5 times, but I don't care. I'm going to continue using it because it works. And yeah, let's continue talking about the script. More plot points, boy! But one of my other favorite scenes in this movie is the scene when the guy goes into the cage with the Indoraptor, and the Indoraptor is, like, sitting there, and he's, like, playing pranks with him. I like this scene because it shows how smart the Indoraptor is, also because it's really funny. Look, what comedy there is in this movie does actually work. I did find a lot of the jokes to be funny. Kind of like Venom, there's a lot of jokes in Venom that really work. Sadly, that movie doesn't work at all, but that's for another video. I really like this scene. I thought it was really funny. I thought it was really creative, and I like the way this scene was built up. The Indoraptor in this movie looks cool. Doesn't do anything cool at all. Like, he's just a raptor. A big raptor. That's all he is. The Indominus Rex was cool because you could tell the difference between it and a T-Rex. It had arms this time. Also, because it actually was smart. Like, you could tell the intelligence of the Indominus Rex the last time. So I really like the way that one was set up. Here you can tell the intelligence, not really, because it is pretty mindless a lot of the movie. But for the most part, I really, really didn't dig the Indoraptor at all. It looked pretty creepy, but other than that, it really sucked. Anyway, Indoraptor stuff starts going down. Indoraptor is running everywhere because he escapes his cage because he's smart and stuff. And and I really like the scene. I like the way Blue attacks the Indoraptor. And another scene that I really liked this movie was the scene, okay, I'm going to say this again, but the scene when I'm actually not going to say it now because I'm going to say it later, but there are a lot of scenes in this movie that are totally awesome with the Indoraptor. The scene especially when they're on top of the dome and the Indoraptor is on there, because it's really written well, because it's raining outside, it's really slippery, and I really liked the way that looked, and I thought they were going to fall, and I was like, oh my god, it was nail-gripping scene of the movie, so I love that scene of the movie too. And then Claire aims the gun at the Indoraptor, or she aims it at something, and it makes the Indoraptor fall, and Blue's like with the Indoraptor as it falls, and it falls on a Tyrannosaurus Rex head and gets stabbed. That's disappointing. The Indoraptor pretty much just dies by getting stabbed by the head of a Tyrannosaurus, what are they called again? I don't remember. It's a dinosaur, and it's a big one with 3 horns, and he gets stabbed by it, and I thought that was pretty disappointing. I expect more from you, Indoraptor. You're pretty smart. You should know more. The next scene in this movie is we see all the dinosaurs are, like, locked in their cages, and there's some gas spreading, and they're, like, about to die, and it's like, oh no, they're gonna die. Oh no, what are we gonna do? And then, like I said earlier, that one girl opens the cage, and she's all like, they're alive like me! And I'm all like, bro! You just, killed a bunch of people! Mind-blowingly, guess what? The people that those dinosaurs are going to kill are alive, like you! Plus, couldn't the military easily kill the dinosaurs? Like, they escaped, sure. But if you see a T-Rex, if you see a T-Rex, simply call the police and say, hey, guess what? There's a Tyrannosaurus Rex, and they can kill that thing. There's no more genetically modified dinosaurs, so it's not like they're going to be indestructible again. But honestly, this movie kind of ends right when I was interested and I wanted to hear more of what was going to happen. Like, the scene ending, I kind of like. I thought it was cool, and I'm actually quite excited for the sequel to this movie, which is surprising because I think this is a bad movie, but I'm kind of excited for the sequel. Overall, the writing of this movie is by far where it faults. It is a totally terrible script. It totally is, like, completely it's not even halfway done. It has one plot point that sounds really cool on paper with the whole island, and I thought that was going to be cool. Then it happens, and then they totally make that, like, a side plot to go over this main plot. And it's really dumb, and the main plot's not even that interesting. So in all honesty, I really don't like the script of this movie at all. I think it's really lazy, I think it's really bad, I think it's really sloppy, I think it's incomplete. I personally hate the script of this movie. I really expect more from it, because the first Jurassic World had a bad script, but it knew it was bad, and this movie doesn't know it's bad. It really doesn't. So yeah, the script of this movie's awful. I used the same clip, like, I don't know how many times. I don't care. Let's move on to the visuals. The visuals. My God, the visuals. Alright, listen. Any scene in this movie, I can compliment by the way it looks. J.A. Bayona is given a terrible script to work with, but he really goes around it and really weaves it together. And there were some shots in this movie that I genuinely loved. A couple scenes in this movie aren't, like, they're just normal shot, but the scene when they're on the island and they're running from the volcano looks really cool. The CGI is really good, and when they're in the water, it's intense and it's really good. Just the entire directing of this movie was really good for me. For the most part, I think this movie looks beautiful. Some of the shots are brilliant. Like, the scene when the Indoraptor is on top of the roof is stunning. I love the way that scene looks. It just looks awesome. Sure, maybe it doesn't at all match the filming of the first Jurassic World, where the first Jurassic World had a lot more of a light tone to it. Like, it's a lighter tone. The visuals just look lighter than this movie. That one, I think, doesn't look as good as Fallen Kingdom. Another scene that I think is brilliantly well shot and well done is the scene when the Indoraptor crawls into the little girl's room. It is so well done. As he opens the door and you see the angles are totally off and he's actually like climbing on the side of the building. It's all shot from the perspective of the Indoraptor. And the camera moves with the Indoraptor and it looked freaking brilliant. I loved that scene. It was so well done. God, I'm going to spend a lot less time on the visuals for this movie, but overall, what is there to say? The CGI looks good, all the dinosaurs look real. Everything about the visuals of this movie are pretty awesome, and that's sad to see the script of this movie. There are a couple scenes that I don't particularly love the way they look, but I honestly think that the most scenes in this movie look awesome, and some of the shots I just want as posters on my wall. The enjoyability. Next, we got thy enjoyability. Why did I say thy? I don't know. Okay, so when I say the enjoyability of this movie, what I mean by that is I'm throwing away script, I'm throwing away visuals, I'm throwing away characters. I'm mainly focusing on, was I entertained by this movie, yes or no? And this movie doesn't get a yes or no either. There are a good chunk of this movie I enjoyed watching. The movie isn't good, but there was a good chunk of this movie that I think was really well done, and I thought it was very entertaining. Another chunk of this movie is really boring and bad. Anything that isn't dinosaurs doing action. All the action scenes are really cool. Everything else is pretty boring. Like, a lot of the scenes with the volcano look really entertaining to watch. The volcano scene especially. Just, it's so fun to watch that scene. A lot of the Indoraptor moments are really cool. I thought the third act is pretty entertaining. The second act is straight up awful. And a lot of the scenes in the third act and first act are boring. But I think I'd say I enjoyed a good half of this movie. Like, the other half is dedicated to dialogue and boring script that we don't care about. But for the most part, my entertainment value for this movie was high. A lot of the jokes do succeed when they are there. The tone is a bit off, so I think this movie would have been a lot better if it just stuck to a lighter tone. Like, look, the original Jurassic World, who had a dark tone, yes, but Colin, how do we pronounce his name? I don't know. He really does do the movie well. He really shoots it well, and he makes the lighting good, so that movie looks really good, and the tone works with it. I don't know if in this movie the tone works with the look, because it's all the same idea, but the script is not that dark of a script. And then they throw it at J.A. Bayona, and he's just like, this is a ridiculous script that I have no idea what to do, so I have to throw it in. So that does kind of hurt the enjoyability factor to this movie. That's not saying I didn't enjoy watching it. I personally enjoyed a lot of scenes in this movie. There are scenes in this movie that are pretty cool. But I don't know if my enjoyability factor of this movie is as high as a lot of other things that this movie had. Definitely not close to the visuals. I personally enjoyed like a good half of this movie, maybe like 2/3 of it. It has good action scenes, so yeah, I think it's all because of J.A. Bayona's action and just general directing. As I can round it up, I think The Fallen Kingdom is a pretty lame, pretty boring, pretty stupid, bad movie. There are aspects of this movie that I really like. I really like a lot of the visuals. For the most part, I'm actually mainly half and half. Like, the bad outweighs the good a bit. Like, look, if I'm gonna give it, is it closer to an absolute 4 or an absolute 5? It's barely closer to an absolute 5. Because while it isn't straight up awful like a lot of people think it is really, really not self-aware of what it is or how the script is presented. It doesn't really know its tone, and it doesn't really figure out how to do movie. It doesn't figure out how to work with the dark script, work with the director, work with the ridiculous script mainly, and it doesn't really mesh together well. The script and the characters is where this movie falters for me. That is the only category. That entire section of the movie sucks, and it makes the good, bad, and the enjoyability kind of boring. But overall, this movie's shot brilliantly. J.A. Bayona is a brilliant director. I love most of his movies. I thought The Impossible was a great movie, and I thought A Monster's Call was pretty good too. So I honestly think that this guy has potential, and it's sad to see that it isn't really thrown any, but it's sad to see that Warner Bros. Or whoever, I think Universal, throws him at a script that he doesn't know really what to do with, and he kind of messes up. He does the best he can with it, but however, I don't think Colin Trevorrow did not do good with the script. So yeah, Fallen Kingdom is a very stupid movie. It's not self-aware in its stupidity, and it doesn't work in that aspect. There are aspects of this movie that I can say, hey, I really liked that one aspect. Most of this movie I don't enjoy. I don't really think it's good. I don't want to check it out again. I might see it again just to submit my opinion and kill it once and for all. But I personally think this movie isn't very good. So yeah. What's next on this series? I really don't know. These videos take forever to edit. I'm thinking like another 2018 movie like Skyscraper or The Meg. I would do Venom if it was on Blu-ray, but it's not. So yeah, we got some more stuff coming towards you guys. Thank you guys for watching. See you next time. I think that this movie's not very good. But yeah, bye. If you guys enjoyed Fallen Kingdom, I'm happy you did. Just comment below what you thought on Fallen Kingdom. So yeah, see you guys next time. Bye. Alright, here we go. For those of you, some of you watch this video to actually hear my 30-minute video opinions on the Fallen Kingdom. But for those of you who are here for the transfer ad, here you go. Here it is. I will not hype it up. The Transfer Hitman's code ad is going to play right now. Here you go.